let's quickly head into the social intervention program by the federal government. Recall that all aspects of life has been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, and the federal government's social intervention program is not an exception. But the Empower program, the school feeding program, trader money, conditional cash transfers, and others are still ongoing. Well, joining us from Abuja for this discussion is Philip Agbese, human rights researcher, public affairs commentator. Thank you for joining us on TVC Breakfast.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
All right. During the lockdown, the federal government came up with palliatives, especially for those who were considered the poorest of the poor. But as it is rightly pointed out and noted, the COVID-19 affected all aspects, all sectors of the economy, and almost all Nigerians are reeling from the impact of COVID-19, and a lot of Nigerians are calling for perhaps an expansion of this program. What do you make of this?
Thank you so much. First and foremost, let me use this opportunity to thank our visionary leader, President Muhammadu Buhari, in the first instance for creating the ministry. Permit me to use the words of former Governor Rochas Okorocha, the Ministry for Happiness, under the leadership of Hajia Sadia Farouk, for the good work they have done. I equally thank Mr. President earlier because it is for his vision and his ability to see into the future that ministry was created far before COVID-19 ravaged the world. And as a matter of fact, that goes a long way to show that, yes, like every government that is put in place for the welfare of the people, this particular one is not just in place for the welfare of the masses, but one that is dutifully committed and being divinely led to assuage the yearnings and aspirations of the common masses of our country. Yes, I agree with many stakeholders who have echoed that there is a need for an expansion of the program. And I think that is exactly what Hajia Sadia Umar Farouk is doing with the Empower program by introducing Batch C of the program. We equally saw the school feeding program living up to its mandate during the pandemic, despite the fact that children were at home. I think part of that, the initiative for the creation of the school feeding program was to intervene in terms of boosting nutrition to help children at home learn, and equally helping people who are actually out of job to have something that they can be doing, because the school feeding programs is being conducted by Nigerians, and these Nigerians who provide the services at the end of the day make something out of it. So it's a win-win situation for all of us. And I think so far so good. I want to agree with everyone who wants the program to be expanded, not just for the purpose of expansion, but for how well and how impactful it has been.
Absolutely.
And that we have seen through the leadership being provided by the Honorable Minister.
Now, the WHO is saying that COVID-19 will be on ground for a long time. What plans does the government have, especially with ensuring that it is assuaging issues of poverty, because this is what the government has said, it is going to tackle poverty head on. What are the plans on the ground to ensure that this palliative gets to those who really need it, even with this report being put ahead of us by WHO?
Yes, well, in terms of what WHO, people and individual donors have done for the country, I don't really know what the SGF's office, which is in charge of coordinating such affairs, exactly what they are doing. But in terms of the social welfare being coordinated by the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Emergency, I think so far so good. We've seen what they have done. We've seen testimonies by recipients of some of these aids, and we've seen how they've been very, very impactful, helping to ameliorate the sufferings of our people. And I think in that line, what we have seen so far is a level of accountability and transparency. We haven't attained the maximum, so we'll continue to watch, as a civil society, to monitor closely what government is doing in that direction, and we'll continue to urge the Honorable Minister to continue to put an eye on whoever is being delegated to render this service, either as independent contractors, government agencies, or whatever. Everybody involved must understand that this is a pandemic, is a global issue, and it is time for us to be our brother's keeper. If the government is there for us, it therefore means that individuals who are also saddled with the responsibility must live up to expectation. And I think in doing that, Nigerians will be happy, and they will be happy with the administration, and they will continue to support the administration. It is only where we record cases like we used to have in the past, where such palliatives, like in the past we used to have issues of flooding and other natural disasters where relief materials don't really get down to the people. But I think we have a slight difference this time, where we can see the people that truly matter in the society, the poor of the poorest, are benefiting from this thing. Like recently, the Northeast
Philip,
Development
we have
Commission.
to leave the conversation here for now. Thank you for your time.
Now, the federal government introduced
The
federal government introduced the social intervention program in 2016, and since then they've been getting busy with trying to ensure that Nigerians get the best and then also raise the standard of living. But it's still in the same period of time that Nigeria, the poverty rose so much that we had to overtake India in that regard. How do you reconcile this paradox?
Well, you see, the reality on ground today and the indices that were used for that rating, I don't think the indices in any way reflect the reality on ground. More Nigerians are happier today, particularly people in the rural areas who are benefiting from social intervention programs by the federal government. For instance, the Empower program has been able to lift over 1 million youth from the street. And these persons who are benefiting from the youth empowerment program are directly and indirectly affecting their families. So we can see that, life is beginning to have a meaning for people in our country today. And that's exactly what Mr. President promised to do 5 years ago when he was elected by a majority of Nigerians to serve this country. I think what we're experiencing today is a question of leadership built on trust, leadership built on courage, and leadership built on character. That character trait of Mr. President is exactly what is being replicated by the minister who is supervising this social intervention program. As a matter of fact, I think we're on track.
Okay, now Philip, the president in his in part of his 2019 speech he was making, he talked about his intention to lift 100 million Nigerians out of poverty. That is about half of the population of Nigeria. Would you see that as an admittance, or would you see that as concurring to the fact that we have more than 100 million or about 100 million poor people in Nigeria?
Yes. As a matter of fact, the gap between the rich and the poor in our own country is extremely wide. Unfortunately, our country happens to be one that has no middle class. So it is a case of the rich having everything and the poor having nothing. And I agree with the vision of Mr. President to be able, even if it is not possible to get up to 100 million persons out of poverty, one thing I must say is that it is one thing for somebody to attempt to move you out of poverty. It is also another thing for you to actually move out of poverty. I give you an example. The recent discussion surrounding the Empower program, when the Honorable Minister said Stream A and B will be terminating, you saw, the reaction of some Nigerians towards that. It therefore means that if the mind is not mentally liberated, no amount of money given to an individual can actually liberate that person from poverty. So it is high time we begin to think, about liberating the mind, not just cash being given to people. We appreciate the cash transfer, the Empower program, and all the social intervention programs. But other institutions of government must be able to support and complement these social intervention programs. It is in doing that we can actually take off properly and begin to talk about our destination.
Okay.
However, we support Mr. President, we support that initiative, and we call on Nigerians to equally support him.
Okay. Nigerians are quite concerned that there has been too much of policy somersault over the decades. And we saw a program like this, a social program like this under the last administration, the Shaw P program. And with this administration, that one was jettisoned. We have this now. Now, there are concerns that at the end of 2023, when this administration, the lifespan of this administration passes, that the next government, we don't know who is going to be, might also jettison the social intervention program for something else. What is government doing to ensure that this is institutionalized so that there is sustainability?
Yes, I think the wide gap between the current program and the past program is the fact that the other program was for a selected few. It was for members of a certain political party. But today we now have a social intervention program for Nigerians. And I think that anybody that is coming on board, either from Mr. President's party or any other political party, has to make that a cardinal objective of his or her administration. Because the program is now affecting all Nigerians today. The market women who are benefiting from these programs do not belong to any political party. The youths do not belong to any political party. And as a matter of fact, these are programs that Nigerians are happy with. So, if we do not, I do not see any government making any proper headway by
Philip,
jettisoning this program.
Yeah,
of course,
Philip, do you have records to show that those who benefited from Shaw P were card-carrying members of a political party?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I was a member of the civil society with particular bias for the political party that ruled the country that time. And as a matter of fact, it was very glaring. We saw it because in most of those states, for instance, in the states where the political party that was in power then was not controlling the state, the programs were actually run by the leadership of that political party in that state. But today, the social intervention programs are running irrespective of the political parties that are in place in the local government or at the state level. Recently, we heard the Minister of the Minister of State for Labor coming out to say this is a program for Nigerians, the 720,000 job creation. He told us clearly, he said this is for all Nigerians. We also saw from the list of the committee that was constituted to supervise that program that people were nominated from the Christian Association of Nigeria, from the Nigerian Labour Congress, from NUT, and other associations, clearly telling you that yes, it is something for the Nigerian people. So I know very well for a fact that if the leadership structure for the social intervention program, particularly the way the Honorable Minister of Humanitarian Affairs is conducting their affairs, if she continues to deepen it in this way, to a point where Nigerians begin to see that, yes, this is something that the government has brought for them. It has come to them without any political inclination. It has come to them without any ethnic coloration or even religious biases. I think Nigerians will now know that, yes, they are entitled to these social intervention programs. And if they feel entitled to these programs, it therefore means that no government can actually do without it after 2023.
All right. We have to leave it here now. This conversation will certainly continue subsequently. Philip Agbese, thank you very much for talking to us on TVC Breakfast.